Hey guys, today I'm gonna try to do a little educational video. So I'm gonna fire up the preheater right now and let you listen to it going through the start cycle. Yes, it's in a 65-degree shop, but I wanna hopefully bring you back in the end and then show you the difference. All I'm gonna do is take it apart and clean it, but I wanna show you how to maintain the preheater on this thing. So bear with me. FYI, it is about a 2-minute start cycle on these things, on most all of them. With exception, there's the fuel pump kicking in. It is right here, by the way. The other day when it started out in the cold, it just sounded horrid. Go through a cool down quick and it'll clear itself out. See the excess smoke. Yeah, it's clearing out its lungs. Technically, all you need for this is Allen wrenches, metric. I just use a 1/4-inch socket set, metric of course, and a flat bladed screwdriver and or the 1/4-inch socket set, and I will try to set this camera up to show you how to disassemble that and go from there. So here we go. Try to take a little bit of time out of my day to do this. The first thing I do is take the fresh air intake tube off. See, my leg is right in the way here. Critters like to fill this thing full of stuff and mud gets in it, so it needs to breathe. You need good airflow to make anything run. Maybe I can do this a little bit different. Gotta have an old man pad for my rear end. Yeah, you can see there. So I take this out. Make sure it's not obstructed in any way. Let's get it out of the way for now. And what you'll see here is a tab, a small tab on this. You pull it up and you take the computer, the module that runs it, and just pop it out of your way. Okay, that is the brain box that controls this whole thing. So now, where did I go with that? No. Right here. We're gonna take the air pump off, and then we're gonna get into where the burner is. That's what I'm going for. But in order to do that, I'll show you. I believe it's a 4. And it is. There's 2 Allen head cap screws here. One on one side, one on the other. Boy, I don't know that I've been in here because I don't know that anybody's been in here in a while. You know what I'm gonna do? Get rid of them. The little stuff doesn't work so good with your fingers and them gloves. Okay, don't lose them. These newer models they're mounted out here on these Ponzes. The other ones you have to go underneath one of the fenders usually to get at them. So I like what they did and they moved it out here. I don't so much like that they're vertical because if they fail, that burner fills up with fuel, and that's not such a good thing, especially if you're in the shop. Okay, just cutting the zip tie away, giving me a little more room. And what I'll have to do here is, when I get to that point, there's 3 tabs here to open this cover where all of these things are plugged in. Yeah, go figure. There we go. So that gives me access to all the different components that are inside of here, and you'll see in a minute why that matters. Like right now. This one powers the air box. And I got both screws out. I'm going to gently remove this. There is a rubber seal in here. And you're going to check inside of there, make sure there's no debris. Set that off to the side. And this is what we're after, is the burner. I want to see on the other side of the burner. This thing looks pretty clean. Very clean, actually. I have to take the fuel line off. Which isn't that big a deal. You won't lose much of anything because it's not pumping. And then, as I stated before, we've got 2 more, your glow rod and your flame sensor. So one's the brown and yellow and the other one's the double gray. So I just come over here, pull that one out, pull the double gray. So now I'm free to take that burner out if I can find my other screwdriver in my pocket. Phillips. Pull this little screw out that locks the fuel line in. There's how do I want to say it? There's manuals out there that'll tell you what the ohms of resistance to all of these are, so you can troubleshoot these pretty good. If you got the manual and you got a meter, you'll be able to just probe these and tell what component has failed if it isn't working. That's basically what we do. Now I need a small socket, which will be, I guess, 8. There's 2 little nuts that hold the burner in. Oh, and by the way, this little piece of, it looks like a tape, this has to be in place on these things or it'll short that glow rod out. It's just a protective. A lot of guys put these back together, they'll put new burners in and they don't read it, and this shorts that out and it will never work. There's this just little piece of protective, I'm going to say like a cloth. So Just gonna pull this out. Put them where I don't lose them. Yeah, somebody's been in here. Okay. See if I can get a little helper here. There we go, a little bit better. Looks like you're sagging too a little bit. Put these on for the old guy thing. So now when you've got these wires in these rubber grommets, and the fuel line goes through the side of the housing, so you just dislodge those diligently. And now when you do the fuel line, it's so stiff that you gotta work this whole thing out at the same time. This whole burner. Come on. Try not to pry on it either. She'll just lift right on out of there. There she comes. Okay. And you give it a look-see down in there. Oh, there's lots of chunks of carbon. And I guess that is not too bad. If you can see in there, it's carboned up quite. It's not as bad as many. It probably could use a new burner. This assembly here. The main thing is that. Let's see if I can do this. The main thing in these heaters is this hole right here has got to be clear, and the glow rod. And this is actually like a stainless steel wool almost pressed in there. Your fuel actually goes into that and saturates it. And when the air pump takes over, it atomizes it. And that's what starts the flame down there. So what I'm going to do is, technically in a situation like this, there's a fair amount of carbon in there. Nothing out of the ordinary. There's some rust going on. But I'm going to take it to the bench and I just diligently scrape it with a pick, and don't tear the stainless, that stuff back here. And I believe this is the other thing on the back that you have to be aware of. That hole right here has to be clear also for this system to work. And a lot of times when these things fail, it's the burner. It just gets so carboned up from dirty fuel that it can't ignite and atomize the fuel properly, and it'll run just horrid, if at all. Sometimes it's the glow rod, sometimes it's the flame sensor, but in most of my experience, it's always the burner assembly itself. And when you get a burner assembly from Ponsse, it comes with the new clip. It's pretty much self-explanatory how it goes, but there is also instructions in the box, or in the bag, whatever you want to call it. I want to make sure there isn't too much crud down there, and it looks good. It looks real good. So I'll go clean this up and I'll come back and we'll reinstall it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. A couple things I'm going to do here is just clean this out. Make sure get all the sand and crap out of there. Basically going out the exhaust pipe. But remember I told you before, we've got an intake here. And a lot of times, especially these guys work around fields and stuff, sometimes you get corn stuffed in there from the mice and whatever, so I just blow it out, look for the other end, which is down here. And it is half caked with, yeah, see here? You can't see it, but she's full of mud. Got my finger down in there. Mud, mud, mud. Somebody was a little deep with this machine. Or it gets splashed up in there, whatever. Gotta make sure that's clean. Now I can see the end. There we go. After all, it is no different than an engine. It needs air to breathe, to live, to make fire. We need air, heat, and fuel. It's called the fire triangle. Oh, look at here. A rock. Yeah, there was somebody in the deeper mud with this thing. So okay, so back to what we were talking about, or what I was doing. Seeing we're on the learning channel of Mike here. I went ahead, took it over to the bench, and I scraped very diligently all the carbon deposits. I took this apart, took the glow rod out, took the fuel sensor out, put this on properly. It wasn't quite down deep enough to hold it in place. And I actually took the burner apart. That you don't really do that, I guess. I took it apart, and there was a lot of carbon between the fuel line here goes in, and it saturates that screen like I was telling you. And this particular device here sets the turbulent air. It sets the air in motion as that fan is going. That swirls the air inside the combustion chamber. Just this little ring. Now, that's all that does, and it can only fit on there one way. And so what I'm going to do is reinstall this with your guidance. Set it right back in there, line everything up, and you have to get this rubber pretty much perfect. To get that burner to go down, it has to sit on there. And we get this sensor in the slot. There's a small Phillips that you saw me before take out. Of course, now I put that in my pocket. Don't forget to hook the fuel line back up either. I've done that a few times. So this holds the whole furnace down, or the burner. So that's it. It just catches it by the edge. Now we're going to put on the two little canuts. Usually there's lock washers in here, or star washers. So I'm guessing this is, I'm guessing I changed it last year, the whole burner assembly. And I think he's got another good year out of this thing, just by cleaning it. Maybe more. And the cleaner the fuel these guys run, the better these are. And it's also advised to run them in the summer to keep fresh fuel in that little bitty 1/8-inch line that goes to it, which I'm about to put on before I forget. It's just an itty bitty line. Okay. So maybe I got 20 minutes in this, maybe more, because I'm being extra careful for you guys on the filming thing. And these, let me blow this out quick. No shortage of dirt. So basically, these sensors are color coded. There's little pictures on here to where they go, if you can see. That one. I forget what they all are because I'm not right at the moment paying attention, but they will only go in one way also. So you can't hardly screw it up. So plug that back in. And the wire also has memory, so it's just about, hey, we're gonna go in there. Okay, so I got that, and that. And when you get a new burner, it'll come with this new gasket. So it can kind of be a bugger to put this back on. Clean everything up. There too, this is your intake. You want to make sure that and there is plenty of dirt in there. Oh, we even got chunks. You hear that? Spun the turbo. Anyway, so what I do then is I just tuck this back in. It's really a bugger when you're out, when it's 20 below zero out, to try to do this. That's why I try to do it in the shop. Preventative maintenance. This screw sets your air fuel mixture, but usually they're set pretty good from the Factoria. And yeah, so I'm gonna put this baby back in. Now, yeah, there goes my gasket. What do I want to say here? These three little things here are the other pain in the butt, because they have to line up in this extra lip that's on here has to catch those, and they have to be tucked inside. That makes the seal here on the air chamber. So you got to be very careful with that. And I am going to try it this way. If I fail, I fail, whatever. Well, basically, I'm going to go like that. That's where the gasket goes. And I'm trying to get these rubbers hooked in here before I drop her down in. And Mr. Fuel doesn't want to go cooperate very well. The only thing I don't like about them is right there. The only thing about Mr. Webasto. Dirt out of there. That, and I'm getting older and I gotta use glasses, and that pisses me off. But whatever. There's only so much I can do about that. Yeah, you gotta push them in with your finger. And you'll know when she goes down the seals. Okay. Come on. Well, like I said, can you imagine doing this when it's negative 20 Fahrenheit outside? It really sucks. So if any of you guys are out there that own these things, do it. You pretty much know the drill. Do it ahead of time. Get my screws started here. These you'll feel when they're tight, these little screws. I ain't going no further than that. So basically you snug them down. You don't need to use the long end. You don't need that much leverage. Okay, so we gotta plug the air blower back in here. And she's gonna go like this. And then I'm gonna close up the cap. Make sure these wires are all tidied up through that slot. And then I actually brought this along because this is how I took it apart. And they had this nice zip tie on there, keeping all that stuff tidy. And trim that straight for the next guy, doesn't cut his knuckles on it. And we will proceed to set this back on in its position and just give it a, yeah, sure, supposed to just give it a shove here. Tab is down a little bit. There we go. And that's it. Locks it on. Intake air. Put that guy back on. And of course, that's a 7. I'll go with flathead. So basically I'm back together. Now I'm going to get off my derriere and I'm going to go fire it up while you guys watch it. And we'll both... Alright, so I got it on now. Had to visit with my dad for a little bit. Popped into the shop. We'll see if she sounds any better than the first time we run her. It may or may not. run for a few moments and then talk to you folks. Tell you a few stories. Oh, let's get us straight here. When it comes to those preheaters, if you don't know what you're doing or you don't want to do it, just call one of us. I mean, that's what we do. But it's good maintenance, good practice to run them during the summer. Once a month, they say. The better your fuel is, the better those things are going to last. And I just want to tell you something else I've learned over the years. I've installed the S-bars, Eberspacher's, Webastos, and you'll see us putting a Pro Heat in a FabTech here coming up. And I'll give you advice. If you're, well, you've seen me put them on the semis before too. They're a lot better with on-road fuel. They last a lot longer. I think the best company that ever put them on was Timco, because they use a separate fuel tank and you burn kerosene, #1 fuel in it. And there's a lot less problems with the carbon buildup in them. Now, that being said, the least call-outs I ever get are on the Pro Heats. The Canadian version, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot more robust, it's more expensive, but I don't get called out on them as much. If I do, the components generally fail a lot. They're more expensive, but they don't come up as much or carbon up. They're probably the best one. As far as reliability goes, in my opinion, then I would, Webasto and Eberspacher are the same, I would call it. And the downside of the Eberspacher, though, is they're hard to work on. They're hard to work on to get at the components. They're buried deep in the units. Now, the last model that I got to work on last year, I think I had a video on it. Actually, there was antifreeze there. Something got into the harness and corroded the wires. I don't know how that happened. What was I going with? Oh, when I went to take it apart and find parts for it, it's now tamper-proofed, and they put little stickers on it. You're not supposed to work on it, blah blah blah. So they're making it throwaway stuff, just like anything else, and that kind of gets the guy in there. You know, there's a certain amount of people like us that still do this stuff, and it's not that hard. You just gotta want to do it. And now I haven't seen the Webasto new one either yet. Supposedly there's a new one. And more than likely they follow suit. Tamper-proof screws, you can't supposedly fix them, whatever. I don't know, I haven't seen it yet. But the Webastos, you saw what I just did. All the components are accessible right there on that end plate. If you pull it apart, you're there. They're so easy to work on. If I had my choice, any day of the week, I'd take that one. Reliability, about the same, like I said, with the S-bars, Eberspachers. I've got one Eberspacher in one of those 1010Es that we just can't. We threw a new one at it, and we don't know. It's maybe the way the fuel system is delivered to it. It's been a pain in the ass for the last couple of years. And it'll be coming up again here because it's starting to get cold. But that being said, you see what it takes. It doesn't take a whole lot. So if you guys are out there that own these machines, have somebody do it or do it yourself before it gets 20 below out and test it. You know, it's just good. It's just logical. Don't be that guy. Christmas Day, I want to go to work and it's -20 and my machine won't start because the preheater don't work. Anyways, we just charge for it, whatever. We'll do it, we'll come and fix it, but I'm trying to be proactive with people and tell them, hey, you know, it's not that hard. Or call us to do it in off season. It's not a big deal. You know, it just makes more sense. Do it ahead of time. Take the time to do it right so you're not screwing yourself later. About all it means. So, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. If you got anybody in mind, subscribe. No, whatever. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the comments and stuff that I still get from everybody, and it's kind of nice. Shut that off now. Yeah, that's it. So, hope you learned something from this one. Okay, take care.